All right, boys, their gear ready to go, but I don't need you right now. Just stay put. Just stay put where you are. And then it so happens that Major Sheriff tells me, hey, battalion's gonna link up and they're gonna push towards the arches here near the police station to consolidate, and then they're gonna push west or east to west through the city as a battalion.
So would you say Major Sheriff was playing a major role in coordinating the entire battalion response?
Correct. Yeah, because at that point he's talking with Blade 6, he's talking to the 5 up there, and he's saying, hey, this is what we need to do down here, if we want to affect this fight.
Did Major Schreffler have a good overall appreciation of the enemy situation?
Definitely. I think he more so did than I did. I thought it was more like the 14th, where the enemy would fight and then eventually, kind of dive off, with, enough combat power out there, seeing that we had 2 platoons out there, whatnot, that he's going to let up. But essentially the enemy did not let up.
Did the fact that, correct me if I'm wrong, Major Schreffler was the Lima Company commander in OIF-1.
Correct.
Did that help him to have situational awareness in that area where Camp Gannon had the Lima Company?
I think so. Number one, he as an ops, he's looked at everything objectively. Each A was extremely important, but being that, yes, it was his former company, and yes, it's it was the main effort of the battalion, and it's the company that's out there alone and unafraid in this area. I think generally, yeah, he's going to have a specific interest, and here's an interesting point too, is that in the, I guess, the Lima tradition for Major Schreffler and Major Gannon was slated next to go in. He was potentially slated next to go to be the 3 to take over for Major Schreffler. So he would complete this mission here and take over for Major Schreffler when they got back from OIF-2. So there's that working bond, and those two definitely they mesh because they're also of the same peer group. They are the same peer group. They both checked into 370 at the same time, and they both were West Coast Marines. Major Schreffler was a 5th Marine, and Major Gannon was a 1st Marine. So there's that general appreciation. I know for a fact that offline, they're probably good friends, and they probably are on a first name basis, which is why it helps strengthen that relationship that those two had.
And when Captain Gannon was not coming up on the net, and were you at that point basically directing the operations of the company?
I was. The better bet I could say was I was maintaining the commander's intent. I wasn't thinking outside the box. I wasn't trying to push forward and saying it's my company, because command hadn't been relinquished over to me. And if it's the one flaw I did have was loyalty, was that I was not gonna make any adjustments until I got the 6's approval or the 6's word. And I absolutely had to have confirmation to know that he was dead. The only pimping that I did was when Webb's platoon was on that they were at that, I guess, standstill with the insurgents underneath them, and battalion was quickly massing up. I was saying, hey, you guys really need to hurry up. And this is coming from the 3. You guys need to kill off the enemy so you can link up over at the arches so you can prepare for follow-on missions. And eventually, to the idea of recon, they came up with the idea of smoking the enemy out. Which at that point they did, killed off the insurgents, collected up the dead, and then one of the members of recon found Captain Gannon's body in there, which I looked over, and I'll be the first one to admit, initially, even though I was a senior 1st lieutenant, you're still a Marine officer with only, barely, 4 years in, 8 years versus 4 years, or 9 years in the Marine Corps versus 4 years, and EWS trained and all that good stuff. I was honestly expecting, Major Schreffler to give me guidance, and Dan Carroll came up with the net and says we found Lima 60's routine, and you want to say, hey, we'll put him on the hook because routine just means that maybe he got knocked unconscious or it means he's dead. but he wasn't coming up on the net. So I looked over to Major Schreffler and said, "Hey, Lima 6 is routine KIA." And, Major Schreffler's not happy, but just when I thought I was expecting guidance, he continued to fight the battalion. So it was like, okay, well, all right, I guess, the operation still goes on, which is true. We were in a fight, and that's the first time I really realized that we were in a serious firefight. And I came up with the net and took the call sign for that purpose. And even then, in my mind, I thought, well, we're just going to consolidate and push through, and that's it. But another human hit comes across that down here south of the city, there's another terrorist stronghold position, or what they call was the command control cell. So Major Schreffler frags me. In the meantime, we get another human source that there's multiple insurgents over in Checkpoint 74 who are pushing to try to overrun the camp, and some of them are ICDC, or the ICDC have defected over to the insurgent side, the fence setters to try to affect the fight. And that's when I was pretty pissed. And in my mind, I was yelling at ICDC for defecting like that. But he texted me and said, "Hey, you need to go take a look at this position here and destroy it if necessary."
And then what did you do at that point?
Well, at that point, Kilo 1 and Lima 2 had been itching to get into the fight. So I said, "All right, here's the deal." And I said, "You're the I went to Kilo 1. I said, "You're the assault element. Lima 2, you're the coordinate element. Lima 2, you're going to push out first. Establish, get to a position where you can get eyes on. I'm going to link up with you, get a good leader's reconnaissance, visual. Then we're going to send Kilo 1 in, to hit it. And then, once the initial hit is in, then we're going to push up, and I'm going to link up with the assault element." So it was one of those being in the fight, but not being too close into the fight where I was going to get myself offed, because we've already lost one company commander already, but in a position where I can still command and control the fight, and then, still do some effective decision making and get into the fight. And
who was with you at that point?
It was myself, and I honestly was getting ready to just go by myself with Kilo 1. Because Major Schreffler said, you are going out with him, right? I said, "Yeah, I am." And I was just going to go out by myself, no one else, because Gunny was out there already. And, you become really sensitive to, when you have a lot on your mind and everyone wants to jump in, and you just want to take with what you and push. So next thing you know, First Sergeant Calderon says, "Hey, I'm going with you." And then Staff Sergeant Waters says, "Well, I'm going with you too." And he goes, "I'm going to go get your radio operator, because guess what? I need a radio operator." So he goes, gets Belmont to go with me. And Dr. Vines, the senior line corporal, says, "Well, hey, sir, I'm going with you too." So now, essentially, I didn't think about it, but I had my little small security debt. Good decentralized leadership, looking after, the new 6. On top of that, hearing the word that we got, insurgents trying to close in on the base, Lieutenant Rugi says, "Well, hey, want to know if I can double man the post." Good idea. Double man the post, put whatever snipers we have left up on there. And no sooner they do that, we start taking fire inside the post, and snipers are starting to shoot off of rooftops at guys dressed in black and red. And as I'm doing my final confirmation brief to the 3, he looks at me and says, "There's no doubt you're going to take casualties. I need to know what's your medevac plan." This whole time, our medevac plan was, if we got hit, push someone out there to link up. Well, guess what? All my capabilities are out for it already. Only thing I have left now is a 7-ton and a tow vehicle that was supposed to come back and get ammo for Webb's platoon in Lima 3, because they were almost Winchester, just about Winchester. They expended their last small.